Hail to thee, brothers and sisters. It is I, Nejma060, here with you once again. And here you are another haunting commentary. This time this is going to be on a typical creotard creationist named Truthful Christian. While he does appear to be more calm and apparently respectful and in favour of free speech to the to atheists and other free thinkers, he does still feel and seem to be obliged to go into the category that other typical creationists fall under. And really, these arguments aren't going to be much better. You've probably heard them 1,000 times before, but I thought that I'd just give a stab at them anyway to show just how misleading and how willingly ignorant this particular one actually is. And maybe, just maybe, I will actually help him learn something.
Okay, this is Truthful Christian, and today I want to talk about atheism.
Again? Really? I haven't seen this before at all.
And atheism, as defined by the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy, the Routledge Encyclopedia of Philosophy, and other philosophy reference works, is that
although Conservapedia isn't really a really accurate or trustworthy philosophic reference, and to be fair, neither is any real wiki, as they are made by laymen, and they really have to be sourced properly to more authentic material, and they also seem, while they do have a policy of trying to remain unbiased, there are still many articles which may have an issue of bias from the editors and so are in question. And so any sort of, pedia or online amateur encyclopedia is not very trustworthy.
denial of the existence of God.
Not really, not denial. How can we deny something that there is no evidence for? How can I deny that there is a pink elephant jumping on my roof at the moment and trying to offer me some Bud Light beer every time I try and play my intro song? How do I know? How do I disbelieve in something that is completely physically impossible and that there is no evidence for? And really, it should be, if you analyse the words of it, while words can be skewed and changed meanings, the basic word is a, meaning lack of, such as asexual, lack of sexuality, or without, and theism, which is a belief in gods or goddesses, and maybe stretched to others believing in other supernatural events such as magic and mythological creatures, but I'm getting ahead of myself. General point is that atheism is just a lack of belief, not an outright denial.
So atheism is basically a denial of God. So you deny that God exists. Now,
we deny him because there is no real substantial or any grounds to test whether he exists at all, only bogus probability. Now get on with it, please.
This video I want to ask you atheists 5 questions.
Oh, like we've never seen that before, have we? And really, he doesn't really ask them so much as answer them for us as well, pretending to be what all atheists think. But we shall see about that.
So 5 questions to why you are an atheist and why you believe in what you believe.
If you want a simple answer, I follow what's empirically evidential and what can be supported by rigorous scientific study, because I personally feel that what makes it through the scientific method and process and gets approved and has the most evidence for will be far more interesting than any fantasy anyone could possibly come up with. But that's just me.
Okay, so let's start off. Okay, so my first question is, which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Ooh, we're about the big guns, are you, straight away? Well, I can answer that quite simply. The egg. Eggs existed before there were birds. Fish lay eggs, as far as I'm aware. some sharks lay eggs, although most give birth to live young, and reptiles lay eggs. In fact, the egg was actually a re-refined version of earlier eggs, because they could, keep all moisture and necessary stuff in without having to lay in water like amphibians did and still do. And so there were numerous types of eggs, each more suited to the particular environment that they were in before the first bird ever came along.
Atheists don't know this. We do. We know that God created every living creature on earth.
Whoa. How do you know this? Because some book told you? Right. And we still know this because the evidence points to that. While we can never know everything for 100% certain, I may just be a projection of your own imagination, or even a figment of my own imagination. Or did I just dream that? But you get the idea. We can only know what is what and what is real based on what evidence tells us.
It says this in Genesis 1:21 in the Bible. You can read it. And yet you scientists are still trying to figure out which came first.
No, scientists are not figuring out because we've already found out through empirical data and evidence, which you're not presenting. And are you trying to speak about scientists or atheists in general? Because there are lots of theistic scientists out there.
I haven't figured out anything at all. All you can do is theorize and come up with theories and...
equivocation. You should know by now, if you've done any sort of research, that a scientific theory is something that's well supported by evidence. However, it is still open to change should the evidence be presented to suggest otherwise.
But in the end, you don't know the answer.
We do. I've just explained it.
Came first, the chicken or the egg?
Please don't repeat yourself again.
You atheists say that you can't have the chicken without the egg, and you can't have the...
Wait. Are we talking about atheists or scientists here? Because this was an original... this is a paradox to someone under the age of 10. However, if you consider what came before, what life forms came before the chickens, that had eggs, such as reptiles, and amphibians, and fish, then we know.
Egg without the chicken. Well, if this is true, then God must have created the chicken.
And why your God and not the flying spaghetti monster?
Because it says in Genesis that it says clearly in Genesis that he created all life on earth.
And Stephen King said in his novella The Langoliers that if you travel back in time, it will become an empty, dead world, and will be eaten up and completely destroyed into nothingness by rabid, huge-teethed monsters.
So
doesn't make it true, though.
It must have come from somewhere. It must have been created. In other words.
Nope. It was created by the process of evolution, as has been described, because the chickens gradually evolved and were eventually probably selected breeded from wild chickens to be more suitable for farms. But the whole process of natural selection improves on designs that are already there, and thus the chicken eventually came out.
Must have supernaturally been created.
We don't need a supernatural element, but I'm going to stop my responding to his constant repeatings of himself at this point.